I am Lawrence Omoite. The Nigerian government has given assurance that all efforts were on to resolve the crisis resulting from the prevention of over 7,000 people, including Nigerians, from crossing the Egyptian border from Sudan. Chairman of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabiri-Erewa, said the Nigerian mission in Egypt was making efforts to secure the students' entry into the country. She added that the Nigerian mission in Egypt has been working tirelessly on this, as the Egyptian authorities are insisting on visas for fellow Africans to transit back to their countries. She appealed to the Egyptian authorities to kindly allow the already traumatized travelers to transit to their final destination in various parts of the countries in Africa.
Traumatic and traumatizing. But the information coming from our ambassador, I spoke with him just a few minutes ago, is the assurance that they have resolved whatever it is. I told them, please allow them pass it, because they're going to be escorted straight to the airport in Aswan, and the plane will pick them up. So the assurance again is that tomorrow morning, hopefully, they would have crossed the border. Now, when they cross the border into Egypt, they say have a 4 hours drive or 5 hours drive to Aswan International Airport, from which they will be carried back home. Now, an Air Force plane is already on standby to go there and pick them up. But here's the thing. You don't want to go if there's nobody to pick up, because you don't want to go just park in there. So as soon as the clearance is given, we have an Air Force plane that will actually hopefully leave very early tomorrow morning to go there. So that is actually the update, and it's not good news. It's not good news, but the hope is that they will be back anyway. So there are about 7, and there's a scramble, there's chaos, there's a very unpleasant sight at the border, because there are about 7,000 nationals all waiting to cross into Egypt.
Meanwhile, some Nigerians, especially students, have been expressing frustration over their plight en route Egypt from the war-torn Sudan. They are complaining about the attitude of the bus drivers who abandoned them midway in an area with the ambience of a desert, owing to non-payment of their fees.
Every day they are telling us the buses are coming and we'll be under the sun from 6 o'clock up to 3 o'clock. There's another update today about the evacuation. Like one of the students spoke with the DT of the NEMA in Nigeria. They explained the situation, how the embassy executive there are putting their own interest on the money that's supposed to be used to evacuate us from Sudan. All the money that has been sent to Sudan, $400,000, are all wasted. Some they pack some to their pockets.
Meanwhile, officials of the National Emergency Management Authority has dismissed claims that the Nigerian students were stranded in the desert. Special Assistant to the Director General of NEMA, Idris Mohammed, dismissed the students' claims.
Communication with the Sudanese embassy, and profiling is a continuous process, of course. There are several students in educational institutions in several locations in Sudan. So it's a very complex situation, but as the information we get from Sudan, we keep feeding this information to the national EOC and keep on updating our records. But for now, we are working with 3,600 Nigerians. I'm in communication with the Nigerian embassy. There is nothing like buses have stopped in the middle of the desert because they have not been paid.
This year's rainy season and other weather conditions are likely to cause major disruptions in the country, which will affect citizens' health and infrastructure in key sectors. According to a technical committee of experts set up by the federal government, this is due to the severity of the weather and the lack of preparedness by relevant authorities. roads, bridges, and other key infrastructure, as well as communities, may be washed away, while diseases and epidemics may break out in many communities. The aviation sector is not left out, as airplanes may skid off runways and cause major catastrophes. The warning is contained in a document prepared by the panel, which is chaired by the National Emergency Management Agency. It also warned that several severe flooding would likely wash away farms and lead to destruction of livestock, thus causing severe hunger in the land. President Mohamed Buhari has approved the postponement of the 2023 population and housing census, earlier scheduled for May 2023, to a date to be determined by the incoming administration. The president gave the approval after meeting with some members of the Federal Executive Council and the chairman of the National Population Commission in the presidential villa in Abuja. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says Nigeria as a nation needs to consider investment in green hydrogen in view of the energy transition. Vice President Osinbajo made the call in Abuja, urged Nigerian National Petroleum Company to take into account investment in green hydrogen for clean energy. The global demand for green hydrogen, which is an alternative low-carbon energy, is anticipated to increase by 700% by 2050.
Position ourselves from the vantage point of a nation with abundant energy resources, working assiduously to diversify its energy resources, develop domestic resources, enhance energy efficiency, and strengthen our infrastructure. Our nation, like others around the world, finds itself suddenly in a situation where we must navigate this challenging transition wisely and with our economic future in clear perspective.
The Nigeria Labour Congress says the government should develop a timeline-based roadmap to restore Nigeria's refining capacity, as it is halting the removal of subsidy. NLC's General Secretary Mark Abuja, who was speaking in Abuja, insisted that it was the right thing to do, as the government appears to be showing concern for the people.
Refining products is not a magic one that it can happen overnight. Why do they feel that placing unimaginable suffering on Nigerians should then be the magic one that they have to offer? For us, it's not about removal of subsidy. Removal of subsidy will hurt the regular worker, it will hurt the working family, it will hurt the unemployed, it will hurt the majority of Nigerians. It cannot be a policy to be borne by a government that will say he was elected by the people. Clearly, the issue is to have a government that has the will to get us to refine, and not a government that feels that their willpower should only be in punishing the people.
Governors of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, and his Oyo State counterpart, Seyi Makinde, yesterday paid a surprise courtesy visit to the President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Abuja. Stating the purpose of their visit to the President-elect, the two governors declared that they came to pay homage to him. They claim that since the election is over and faced with the reality of governance, they will support and cooperate with him to succeed in turning the fortunes of the country around.
Elections have come and gone. The winner has emerged, and therefore it is necessary for all Nigerians to rally around to give the necessary support for the interests of Nigeria. And everyone is expecting everyone can wait till May 29th to see that the president has been inaugurated, and then from there keep the ground rolling to make sure that Nigerians get what they expect. I'm confident that he has what it takes to turn Nigeria around. I have that confidence.
I came here to basically pay homage to the president-elect and to let him know that, elections are over. This is governance, and we will do our best, to give him support for good governance of Nigeria.
Governor Yaya Bello of Kogi State has presented the flag bearer of the APC in the November governorship election, Usman Ododo, to President Muhammad Buhari at the presidential villa. Governor Bello described Usman Ododo as an astute politician who will guide the state to success. And for some foreign stories now, children account for most of the 109 bodies so far recovered in a mass grave linked to a cult in Kenya, the Interior Minister says. The latest details in a case that has shocked the country and prompted calls for tighter regulation of religious fringe groups. And in Tunisia, Coast Guards have retrieved 41 bodies from Tunisian waters, a National Guard official said on Friday, raising the number of victims of migrant shipwrecks off the country's coast to 210 in 10 days. The bodies were in a decomposed state, suggesting that they had been in the water for several days. And in sport, Cristiano Ronaldo scored his first goal in 4 games on Friday to help Al Nassr to a 4-0 win over Al Raed, keeping alive the team's slim Saudi Pro League titles hope. With 5 matches remaining this season, Al Nassr remain second in the league, 3 points behind leaders Al Ittihad, having played a game more than their rivals. Chelsea's players are struggling to find answers for their poor run of form this season, Raheem Sterling said, but the attacker maintained that the Premier League club can turn around their fortunes under the right manager. And Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp thought his television was broken